Okay, kind of divided weather today. One side is actually kind of sunny, but you can see all the clouds coming in, and I actually felt a drip of rain. Fortunately, I did all my flying and stuff ahead of time. And what did I read today? In terms of flying, how about this one, where apparently there was some arrests for people flying drones in no-fly zones. So what's going on here, huh? It says here, a drone fitted with a camera operating in a no-fly zone posed a risk to an Indian Air Force aircraft on a sortie in Chennai on Monday evening. According to official sources, the incident was reported near the IAF station. So with that, apparently they detained 2 people for flying in an unauthorized manner, and it says an informed source said that training aircraft Pilatus PC-7 was on a sortie on Monday evening when the pilots noticed a drone that was flying quite close. After defense authorities alerted the local police, the 2 suspects were taken into custody. And then get this, as kind of a little twist anyways, it says the duo was hired to operate the drone to capture aerial visuals of the temple procession in Purka. Drone operator S. Lokesh and Thiruvalur Nagar, Thalafazal Salam and S. Jacob, 38 of Matu Street, Nedukatram, were hired by the temple authorities. The Purka police are investigating the incident. Oh, can you imagine that? I would think if they were hired in an official capacity like that too, they would have cleared everything. It says the camera has been seized. A formal case will be registered after getting a complaint from IAF. An official said adding drones were not to be flown without authorization, and the flying of unmanned aerial vehicles was prohibited in no-fly zones. Flying of drones near defense establishments pose not only a security threat to strategic assets, but also put the lives of people in danger. That's one of those things. They take drones really seriously in a lot of places still. It doesn't matter if you're flying something small, but in this case too, it's always interesting when it happens to people who are doing some kind of, let's just say, commercial work under a contract of sort. Because again, you would think everything would be cleared before they actually go through with this, especially if you were the vendor, for example, paying them for it. I would imagine you would want all the proof and stuff to make sure everything's good to go, correct? Although with that said, it seems like there's more news about Amazon being held back with their drone deliveries again. This company can't get a break, huh? This one says, regulation stops Amazon's Texas drone flights. It's kind of interesting too, as according to this, it seems like it dealt with reasons like privacy issues on why they're stopping this. It says local regulations, specifically airspace and privacy concerns, led to the halt. The town with a population under 4,000 became a testing ground for Amazon Prime Air service. Now operations are suspended. The Lockford City Council passed an ordinance that restricts drone flights within the town limits. The ordinance focuses on low-altitude airspace control and data collection. Residents raised concerns about drones flying over private property and the potential for surveillance. The government cited safety and privacy as primary reasons for the new regulations. Amazon launched its drone delivery service in Lockford in late 2022. The company aimed to deliver small packages to customers within a short time frame. The program faced immediate scrutiny from residents. Town meetings including discussions about drone noise, potential accidents, and the collection of personal data. I'm actually curious if that's actually valid overall, because they contradict, let's just say, the federal laws, which should rule when it comes to the airspace in general. Now, you could argue it's more about where you can land and take off, but again, I'd be wondering overall if this is actually valid in that regards anyways. And it does say here, the Federal Aviation Administration grants Amazon permission to operate drones. The FAA regulates national airspace. Local governments retain the power to regulate land use and local airspace. This creates a conflict between federal and local authority. The Lockford Ordinance requires drone operators to obtain permits from the city. The ordinance also sets limits on flight times and altitudes. It establishes rules for data collection and storage. The City Council states the regulations aim to protect residents' rights. Well, what would you say in this case? Would you agree with it overall? It is an issue when it comes to drone delivery. People will complain about things like the noise and the privacy issues, of course. I mean, what do you expect too? All that fear-mongering of recreational drones and so forth. I don't think people are just going to automatically just say, okay, yeah, I'm okay with this and that now. Because it makes me think just in general, like with things like noises and so forth, it just depends on the context, because I don't think people are going to necessarily ban things like lawnmowers in general. Let's just say if people are using them during the day, correct? It's noisy and all that. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. And again, this company's getting no breaks when it comes to drone deliveries. And I was reading this, which seemed to be spreading a lot here anyways for whatever reason. As you know, there's that tension between here in Canada and the US because of all those proposed tariffs. And apparently in sporting events, people have been booing when it comes to hearing, let's just say, the national anthem of the other country. For example, here in hockey games, when the US national anthem was being sung, for example, people would start booing it. Now, apparently this one was a bigger deal, as here in Canada, I believe it was in Ontario, they had a WWE event, and for some reason they sang the US national anthem and people started booing it. And with that, I guess one of the announcers called Canada a terrible country, and that generated like backlash and all that. So you can read in his updated post and a video actually trying to explain himself. He actually says, "I'm very proud and thankful that I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in the United States of America. Canadians have a lot of passion for their country and I understand it. You booed our country and I said you're terrible. Let's shake hands and move along." And you can see again like his response.
First reaction whenever a national anthem starts up there was for some of these Canadians just to start booing. And I'm like, what? Okay. My entire life, my first reaction when somebody boos the national anthem is, you. Canadians have told me, why don't you do a little investigating on why we're booing? Okay, did you hear what your president said? Okay, listen, I understand there's political differences at the current moment between us and Canada. But I feel like anytime I think of Canada, I don't think of what Justin Trudeau does. I love Canadians, but my first reaction whenever you boo our country is, well, okay, let's fight.
Now, this was actually weird to me for two reasons, actually. First and foremost, I was actually talking to somebody yesterday who actually traveled to watch this show. And usually in these shows anyways, they don't sing the US national anthem or the Canadian national anthem when they start. But in this case, the person was telling me specifically they only sang the US national anthem. And it makes me wonder, hey, why are you doing that? You must know, for example, like the situation in general. I mean, at minimum, you would think they would sing both of them, correct? And the second one, it made me wonder, I mean, this is an entertainment show. Are they just doing it to work people up? That's what I'm curious. Even though it's implied here, it wasn't a, quote, work of sort. Because in the past, to my knowledge, these types of shows, they try to create a good guy and bad guy. And they have had storylines like that, where people are very patriotic towards their own country. And of course, if you go to a different country, then people start booing them like crazy and all that. I mean, there's these memes passed around of wrestlers, I don't know, doing stuff to the Canadian flag and all that to, quote, disrespect it, again, to get a reaction. It makes me wonder if that's the case. But in general, this whole situation of people booing this and that, I don't know if it's the right way to go, because it just seems like it's too emotional in some ways. You're kind of putting everyone in the same bucket. That's what I would think anyways, and that's not really the way to go for all other things in life too, in my opinion anyways. And to think too, usually things like sports are supposed to be the stuff that brings people together in these ways. I mean, just in terms of national anthems, I still remember just a while ago, they had that viral video where when the US national anthem got cut during a hockey game, you had the Canadian crowd basically continue the song, for example. I mean, look how fast time flies, huh? Where people can just start being mortal enemies all of a sudden. See you guys later.